Now let's talk about the types of ETL testing. So here the source to target testing validation. This is the first part in ETL testing we need to perform. So such type of ETL testing is carried out to validate whether the data value transformed are the expected data values or not. If they are not the expected value, then we need to raise the defect. Another type of ETL testing, we need to perform the application upgrades. So this can be happen with you, like your managers or your organization is expecting that they need to apply the such type of ETL testing can be automatically generated, saving substantial test development time, or this type of testing checks whether the extracted data from an older application or repository are exactly same as the data in a repository or a new application. So the application level ETL testing means if you are moving the data from old application can be, let's say, Lotus Notes. So if there is a one application Lotus Notes and you want to move the data, Lotus Notes application data towards the SharePoint Microsoft. So once we are loading the data, we need to make sure everything must be mapped properly and there should not be any bad data. So this type of testing in ETL comes application upgrades now. The third type of ETL testing, which the business users are expecting for us, which is called as the metadata testing. Under the metadata testing includes testing of data type check, data length check, and index constraint checks now. Another type of ETL testing, then we need to perform the data completeness testing. So the data completeness testing, we need to verify that all the expected data is loaded in a target form from the source system and data completeness testing is done. Some of the tests that can be run are compare and validate counts, aggregates, and actual data between the source and target for columns with simple transformation or no transformation. So this is how in data completeness testing, our goal must be to make sure that expected data is loading from the target system to the source system now. Now let's talk about more in detail about the types of ETL testing. The data accuracy testing. This is the type of testing is done to ensure that data is accurately loaded and transformed as expected. This type of testing is called as the data accuracy testing. Without knowing these terms, you cannot perform the ETL testing. So your foundation must be strong first of all. Then we will like to do the hands-on activities. The second type of testing for the ETL, the data transformation testing. What does this mean? So the testing the data transformation is done as in many cases it cannot be achieved by writing one source of SQL query and comparing the output with the target. In this type of transformation, we need to apply the multiple SQL queries and we may need to run for each row, and our goal must be to verify the transformation rules. So whatever the transformation rules, it can be concatenating the two columns, it can be distributing one columns to the multiple columns, or it can be presenting the column data in a proper format. So such kind of transformations you are applying in such kind of data transformation testing. Now let's talk about the data quality testing. So in this type of ETL testing, our reference test, it will check the data according to the data model. For example, the customer ID. The quality testing includes a real-time example can be the number check, the date check, precision check, the data check, and null checks. So all these things, our main objective as a ETL tester will be, we need to make sure there should not be any null data, there should not be any bad data, and if the column which has the number data, the only number data must be present. The text data does not be present there now. And if there are any inconsistency, we need to raise the defect. Then we need to test the incremental testing now. So this testing is done to check the data integrity of the old and new data with the addition of the new data. So incremental testing verifies that the insert updates are getting processed as expected during incremental ETL process. So we are proceeding in this type of ETL testing a step-by-step process now. That is the reason this is marked as the incremental ETL testing. Now let's talk about the GUI navigation testing. So this testing is done to check the navigation or GUI aspects of the front-end reports now. So in a simple words, whatever you are doing in a ETL testing, so these are all the best practices in a real time. You will be performing either the incremental testing, the GUI testing, the upgrading your old system to the new system, or you are applying the transformations.